Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Napoleon Toll with some Shogun 2 Fall the Samurai Scramble for the Far East mod, and we're back with the Qing Empire. In the last few turns, we just technically we destroyed an army, and now we've captured North Hamgyong and Hamgyong, to be exact, and Central Hamgyong. Now our army is moving on to South Hamgyong. There is a Korean army in the way, but that army is kind of small. And my entire army, or horde I should call it, is pretty massive, and that's no joke. In the last turn, we were talking about essentially a lot of nothingness in terms of actual history. And for those that don't want to hear it, you can just write in the comments below. I'll stop talking about history, but history is what I like, and therefore I'm going to be talking about it. Where were we last time? Oh yes, so basically, Sushi dies, and after that it was, another person, and another Dowager Empress, although this time, Sushi, before she dies, she says, oh, this person cannot hold actual power, which is kind of funny, because Sushi is essentially the person who literally held actual power, and she's saying, oh, any woman after me, literally, cannot hold power. That's kind of hypocritical, and assuming the fact that she's a woman. And she basically, so her predecessor doesn't hold power, and it comes down to Prince Gong, and Gong as in G-O-N-G, and he holds power, and yeah, he just kind of ruins the Qing Empire. Like before, okay, what happened was that before, the Qing Empire was still somehow managing to survive. After he came to power, it's like, yeah, he seriously overestimated, not this time against the enemy, which is technically the outside forces, which include the 8 nations, but this time he overestimated his power in terms of how do I put it, his political power, and he decides to have Yuan Shikai, who was one of the big warlords at this point, have him killed. Obviously, that news kind of was known by Yuan Shikai because he had a lot of power, and basically he's like, nope, and he essentially revolts in the most seemingly not rebellious way, which is basically force the Qing to abdicate. So that's sad. Yes. In the last turn, now I'm gonna backtrack a little bit and talk about the literal nitty-gritty parts that I forgot to put in. One of them was the fact that the reason why, the first part that I would like to talk about is how the fact that Sushi maintained power, and that was, first of all, she basically killed her the other regents, which, when I mean kill, I mean figuratively and literally. So she killed the other regents, and during Taifeng's reign, I think. Taifeng's reign, and basically after that she was just maintaining power. Now obviously, there was a few times in which she toyed with the idea of becoming empress, which has been possible with Wu Zetian declaring herself and replacing the Tang with Zhou, but that wasn't really important for all intents and purposes of this episode. But anyway, she decided she toyed with the emperor declaring herself emperor after Guangxu did the reforms. So, but I'll talk about that later. So basically, what happens is, Shenfeng, who was the emperor that basically did the lost the Opium War, dies because of problems with his health. Most notably, he was literally concerned that the empire was going to fall, and he literally had his health just degraded because of his worrying for the empire. So that a good emperor, I guess. And then after that, he was Tongs Huangdi, Emperor Tongs, and yes, this guy's rule was notably not interesting at all. He was young, and so basically he was born 1856 as Asengero Taitun, and he dies at 75. So this guy lived no longer than age 18. So that's sad. And then after that is Gongshu, which is if I can't remember. Oh yes, Emperor Guangxu or Asengero Zaitian. Basically, this guy was lived longer in the sense that than his predecessor. He dies at age 37, and the funny part about his death, which I'll talk about later. But anyway, Guangxu, Emperor Guangxu was seen. He was the one who wanted to modernize, especially with the Beiyang fleet, the Beiyang army. I'm calling the Beiyang fleet and the army with same thing. It's technically the same thing, but the Beiyang fleet is technically seen as an army, except for, well, yeah, it was the main army that Yuan Shikai used and stuff like that. But so basically, what happened was Emperor Guangxu wanted to modernize, and Emperor Cixi was like, "Sure, let's go for it," because technically, it is. You have to realize the reason why they lost is technically because trying to modernize, so they were trying to modernize. He modernized, and then he deployed a lot of these new people, and they were, I guess you can say, radicals, or not radicals, but like they wanted to reform, and that upset Cixi because one of the reasons that how they want to revive the Qing was technically to make the emperor the sole ruler of the Qing Empire. Now you might be thinking, okay, isn't that already the case, except for this time it's a puppet? What they really wanted to do was to kick Emperor Cixi out and replace her with the one and only Emperor Guangxu, which is the actual emperor, so that's kind of funny. Now, Cixi maintained rule via controlling the emperor. Now, the way that she did this was, first make the emperor, make all the people who are around the emperor, which means all the ministers, loyal to her and not to the emperor. So that's step one. Step two, every time she does something wrong, she blames it on the emperor. For example, the time when she wanted to build a palace because it was her birthday, she said, "All right, I'm gonna build the palace, and if anything goes wrong, ask the emperor." Now, obviously, Guangxu really can't do anything, and if he did do anything, he will instantly be like, "Nope, you don't get any power," and takes the power away, or locks him up, which is an actual thing. That's number one. Number two was I believe, yes, it was okay, so basically, Cixi wanted to go, at one time, Cixi wanted to declare war on the 8 nations, which were the United States, France, Britain, Japan, Russia, Austria-Hungary, Italy, and I'm forgetting the last one. But anyway, she decided to declare war on the 8-nation army, and oh yes, and Germany, Prussia. My bad. So that's the 8-nation army. The 8 nations were the British Empire, Japan, Russia, Germany, United States, France, Italy, and Austria. And basically, Guangxu was against the idea because one, the Qing already lost kind of to Japan. Well, they did lose the war, and they had to pay a huge sum of money. That was number one. Number two, the fact that now we're fighting against 8 nations is already problematic. Now, the reason why Cixi really wanted to fight the 8 nations army was literally because she really didn't want to pay up. Which means more money, and also the fact that basically they were just running around. Not to mention her husband, which is Emperor Zaifeng, I think. Wait, no. Emperor Shenfeng was basically the one who had to flee from the Forbidden Palace against the British. So yes, that's a problem. Now you might be thinking, great, what does that have to do? Well, basically, Cixi was not keen towards the Western barbarians, which they called them, and basically she decided, you know what, screw it, we're gonna declare war after the incident in which a person just basically killed a German banker, I think? He killed a German... Okay, the Chinese dude killed a German banker and was basically like, okay, so what, I'll turn myself to the 40s, and then the European powers were basically like, no, we have to try you by European laws. And the Qing was like, whoa, no, the person killed the person in China. And they were like, no, according to the laws, which were said in the Opium War, the Nanjing Treaty, all foreigners killed in China were subjected to their own country's laws. So in this case, it was German laws, which almost immediately means, which is pissing a lot of people off, and therefore the second you piss a lot of people off, Cixi had the right to go to war. Now Emperor Guangxu was like, no, we're not gonna go to war. He doesn't want to go to war, my bad. And the reason is because he thinks they're gonna lose. And the reason is simply because, okay, previously in the Sino-Japanese War, we lost to the Japanese, and now you want us to fight literally 8 nations, which includes the British, Japan, Russia, Germany, United States, France, Italy, and Austria-Hungary. What makes you think we're gonna win? And the way that Cixi dealt with that was said, because during this time, Emperor Guangxu was pretty much under house arrest, which is kind of funny, ironic, since he's the emperor. He was under house arrest because of the failed, essentially, coup, in which he basically kind of sort of authorized, in the sense that they wanted to modernize, and Cixi basically has them arrested. So when the second arrest warrants came down, they decided to literally revolt, and literally that was all the excuse that Cixi needed to kill them all. And after Guangxu was just put under house arrest. It's a little bit confusing, but I hope you guys understand. So basically Guangxu was like, oh, I don't think this is a great idea. And Cixi was like, okay, go back to your room. Literally, go back to your room. And Guangxu's like, literally has to stand there and goes back to his room. Literally. Well, there were obviously people who were against the idea of going to war. One was, Li Hongzhang, which was the Bismarck of China, technically, and he was against it because he thinks the Qing's gonna lose. Now, and with Guangxu thinking that they're gonna lose, yeah, technically, Cixi wasn't always. Cixi knew that Li Hongzhang had vision, but she just wanted to do things her way, and she paid the consequence in the sense that the 8-nation alliance basically not only defeated Qing, but the person who was responsible for the defeat claimed that the Qing has won a great victory and that nothing terrible is happening. So Cixi so basically what ends up happening is that Cixi thinks, oh, we're winning, when in fact they're losing, and then she decides to press the attack. And at that point, everyone's like, oh yeah, crap, yeah, this is not gonna happen. No. And basically the foreigners, the 8-nation army just stormed into Beijing. Yeah. And but that's history. So where were we? Oh yes. So basically Guangxu was like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. Cixi thinks that we're gonna win because this time we're using the army instead of the navy, which was defeated in the Sino-Japanese War, and basically puts him under house arrest. And now for every time you declare war on a foreign country, you need like a Imperial Edict or something like that. And in this case, obviously, she doesn't have it because she technically locks up the emperor. So guess what she did? She basically just wrote the Imperial Edict by herself and starts saying, by the mandate of heaven, blah, 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 I declare war, blah, 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 against the 8 nations. And basically that is essentially putting the imperial power. If anyone else did that, it will be like traitorous, but it's Cixi, so what are you gonna do about it? She literally put the emperor under house arrest. What are you gonna do about it? So those were the 2 times in which Cixi was like, nope, screw you. What other event? Oh yes, yes, that's that. Guangxu, in all terms of reality, was not stupid. He was not a terrible emperor if he obviously had the ability to rule. The problem was that he was younger at 37, and Empress Dowager Cixi was way older. And when Empress Dowager Cixi died, the wish before her death was to literally have Guangxu. How do I put it in a nice way that does not seem like she's gonna murder him? I mean, how do I put it in a way that oh yes, Guangxu just passed away somehow. Yeah, I think you and I could kind of realize that he was assassinated by Emperor Dowager Cixi, and the reason why she would do such a thing is because if Guangxu ever had the chance, and when I mean a chance, I mean like 1 second is a chance, Guangxu will literally name Emperor Dowager Cixi as a traitor, which technically she kind of is. So yes, that's that. Didn't go so well for Emperor Guangxu in the sense that he almost got himself killed. Now, since we're done with talking with Emperor Guangxu, we can talk about Cixi some more. Now, Tsushi was pretty interesting character. Like for a person to reign over power so this long is pretty interesting. One of the ways she kept it was because she listened to one of her top ministers, which was Li Hongzhang, which is the Bismarck of the Qing. And Li Hongzhang was basically the student of Zheng Guofan, and basically that's that. I don't know what really to say. Li Hongzhang was put in command of the Beiyang fleet, and before that he was in charge of the Huai army. During his time at the Beiyang fleet, he kind of asked for the Qing, the Empress Dowager, during the same time that she was having the massive birthday party, that they need to upgrade the Beiyang fleet. And a funny story was that the funny story was that Li Hongzhang had to buy a pigeon, and now you might be thinking, huh? Why is he buying a pigeon? Because the reason why he bought a pigeon was basically he went to the Imperial Palace, gave it to Tsushi, and it's like, oh, I'm essentially he's bribing her for some real money for the Beiyang fleet, and this is kind of to show you how stupid things were back in the day when you literally have to bribe someone for like the most necessary thing. His claims was that, according to him, the Japanese are modernizing, the Western powers are getting more powerful, so we need to modernize the damn fleet. And Tsushi was like, yeah, you're right. Except for the only problem is I don't see the Japanese as a big problem, and the only thing we have to do at this point is to get out of the way of the Western powers, which was technically not incorrect, but assuming what happened literally after that was the fact that the Qing literally lost to the Japanese in the first Sino-Japanese War. It was kind of embarrassing. According to the source I have, it is the largest fleet in Asia before the Sino-Japanese War, the first one, and the 8th in the world during the late 1880s, which is kind of funny in the sense that they literally got defeated by the Japanese. But Li Hongzhang was basically like, we need to modernize, and after that, Tsushi didn't listen, they got defeated. And once again, you really can't blame Tsushi for being defeated. Well, technically, okay, here's where it gets into some nitty-gritty. According to Li Hongzhang, the Beiyang fleet has a lot of guns. They have heavier guns than the Japanese, according to him. And the reason why he says we're underprepared is half of the guns fire blanks. Yeah, that is problematic. And to make it even worse, the crews compared to the Japanese crews are less trained. And to make it even more worse, according to him, during the last inspection, which occurred during Tsushi's birthday, we fired half of the actual rounds. So that's a problem. And so basically he was like, modernize already, and we need more ammunition. And this is the funny thing about Tsushi. Tsushi was like, okay, I'm not gonna be commanding the forces. And she states the reason why as the most stupidest reason why. She said the reason why I'm not commanding the forces is because I'm afraid. I'm not. It's not. The reason why I'm not commanding the forces is literally because I'm gonna allow the emperor to do it. And now you might be thinking, whoa, isn't that great for the emperor? No, because so she basically just doomed him in the sense that, oh, if the war fails, it is because the emperor lost. However, if we win the war, it's because of my son, the emperor, was a genius, and therefore I'm a genius. You can see the logic in this situation. It's how do I put it in a nice way? It's BS, but logic, guys. Continuing Li Hongzhang. So Li Hongzhang's idea was, okay, let's just barricade ourselves in the massive ports that we have with coastal batteries, and let's not engage the Japanese fleet, which technically is a nice idea. However, modern scholars have been saying he overestimated the Japanese fleet, and yes. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Oh yes, so basically, in this scenario, you can see my army. which is you can see on the map, is for some reason I accidentally didn't allow my troops to group up for some reason, and the enemy is going to be attacking one of my armies. In this battle it's pretty much a costly battle in the sense that the enemies just sit out there and then wait for their guns to literally massacre my my spearmen. And that was the main reason why I stopped using spearmen, because they are once again good on the offensive. Defensive and not so good on the offensive. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. Yes, it was not a good sight. Basically, Li Hongzhang was like, okay, let's hold the Beiyang fleet back into the ports, and Emperor Guangxu was commanding actually this time. And you have to admit, the first time it was said that when Emperor Guangxu first commanded the armies, he was not in fear. He was no fool. Is what I'm trying to say. Like the first time commanding an army and you're not panicking because of some little thing, it's pretty impressive. Just saying. So, contrary to Li Hongzhang's advice, the Emperor decides, you know what, we're gonna protect our army, which is being transported to Korea via ship, and the Beiyang fleet's mission is to protect the fleet, the transporting fleet. Did it work? According if you want to see the battle, which is the Battle of Yalu River, fought in 1894. It was a massive Japanese victory. Now once again, remember, the goal of the Chinese fleet was to protect essentially protect the transports, which they did. They did, but the casualties wasn't so good for the Chinese. They lost 1,000. And they literally lost 4 cruisers. 2 of them were light, and another one was lost because the Chinese scuttled it. The Japanese lost 5 protective cruisers, 1 ironclad. However, they lost only 308. The only problem was that the fact was that basically from a battle perspective the Qing lost, but from a mission perspective they won. So depends on you. But needless to say, the Beiyang fleet was pretty much destroyed, and after that they just sat in the harbor being bombarded by the Japanese, and that was that. Needless to say, at this point the Qing lost the war, so yes, that's a problem. And because prior to the battle, Emperor Guangxu was like, okay, let's attack, and Li Hongzhang's answer to that was, let's straight outright hold the ports. The main reason, and therefore there were conflicting views. Li Hongzhang wanted to stay in the ports, the Emperor wanted to attack, and obviously the only when it came to who failed in the war, Li Hongzhang was put out of office for incompetency. Now you might be wondering, wait a minute, isn't that technically stupid? It is. But what can you do? And after that he was put in charge. He went back to the capital and was basically put in charge of Liangguang, which is technically if my name is correct, Liangguang is technically Guangzhou and Guangxi, so a big chunk. So basically the northern part of China. For the modern audience, that's probably much of it's basically Hong Kong and the upper parts of all the coastline cities. This includes Guangzhou and stuff like that. But needless to say, Li Hongzhang lost his position and was demoted to Protector General of Liangguang, or in Chinese, Liangguang Zongdu. And after that, he was just like the because there was a thing called in which the emperor wanted to take back power and basically hired a bunch of people. Cixi asked him to who does he side with. Now, here's the part in which Li Hongzong. It is said that Li Hongzong was faced with a crisis because technically at this point the Emperor Dowager really wanted to become emperor herself, and Li Hongzong was against the idea. But Li Hongzong obviously can't say, "Oh no, that's a terrible idea," because he's gonna get fired once again. So what he decides to do is, literally says, "I wanna literally go out of the country, and I'm gonna tour Russia, Europe, and North America." And after that, he's like, "Oh," and the Emperor Cixi, and I was like, "Sure, but you're on my side, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he left. Now we obviously know what happened to the, I guess you can say, the modernists. They were literally destroyed by Emperor Cixi, and when Li Hongzong returned, it was like nothing happened. He still has his position, and basically after that, he just sat there and died. Literally died. And that was because of old age, and probably because China at this point is pretty much destroyed. So yes, that's that. Well, needless to say, back to the game, we basically destroyed a Korean army, and now we're just gonna auto-resolve. I'm gonna quick save, and we're gonna auto-resolve. And yeah, it's pretty clear victory who's the victor. And after that, I guess there's nothing much to do. I can peacefully occupy South Hamgyong. After that is crossing this little strait, which is crossable by the way, into the Korean plains. Yes. Elsewhere, my navy is still trying to land Nagato. I spot the Dutch, but I'm pretty sure they have no attitude towards me, although that's gonna change. I decided to declare war on the Northern, not the Northern Alliance, my bad, the Sacho Alliance, and yeah. There is a Korean army here, but they're not grouped enough. There's nothing much I can really do. Rockets are coming in, and those rockets are going to be extremely useful. So yes, I can also get more armies, but at this point my economy is buckling because I have so many troops. So I don't know what to do except for press on. I can technically upgrade Outer Mongolia more, but I'm just gonna stay put and save my money for other stuff, which I think it is upgrading the new provinces. There is a Korean fleet in Central Primakoya, but there's nothing I can do. It's blocking my port. Nothing I can do about that. And in Japan, we still have our fleet literally preparing to go to war with what do you call them? Satsuma and Chosu Alliance. Yes. Anyway, there's not really much I can talk about in terms of the history of the Qing. It's all pretty much been covered. But yes, learners, my man. Okay, so basically these people want to Western thought is all I can say. So yes, that's that. I'm gonna have my spy keep scouting. There are a lot of Korean armies, but they're not grouped together, which means the actual armies are very small. And even if they group together, I do not think they'll outnumber my actual army. And because my armies are these units are costing a lot, I'm decided to, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna group them together. And disband the 16 unit one. There's nothing like I am saving a lot of income, and after disbanding these, we'll save even more income. But yes, nothing else can be done. Nothing else can be really done in this situation. Just a lot more bureaucracy in the sense that I have to get more stuff ready. Yes, not really that much interesting stuff. It's just basically just keep moving down south and prepare to declare war. Now, obviously, I'm going to declare war right now. And obviously, as you can see, your allies and my allies are pretty much similar. My allies are France, the United Kingdom, and their allies are United Kingdom, Hiroshima, and Takayama, I think. Well, not Takayama. Yes. I'm going to demand them break the alliance with the United Kingdom, but I decided they're not going to accept it, and I'm going to have the United Kingdom break the alliance with the Satchel Alliance. And it is unacceptable. I'm going to give them indefinite military access. That's still indefinable. I decided not to pay them, but yeah, they are at a war with a lot of people, and I decided, you know what, screw it. Can I pay them? And I decided to pay them, but I don't have that much money, and they're like, nope. But to see how the war goes with the Satchel Alliance, come in next time, and we'll talk about the war. So have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Now before you leave, I would like to thank you very much for watching this video. I would be honored if you could like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, more videos are coming out, so it is a good idea to click on that notification button. Anyways, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.